Hello, Megatripper, from here in the south of France. You're joining me on a very special mini trip here on Megatrip, day 2 in Béziers in south of France. It's very early in the morning. I thought I'd get up and have a little look around and really show you what you can do if you want to go on a short trip to the south of France. So here's what's coming up in this mini trip adventure. Don't really know what that means, but apparently it's a big sod-off fountain. But I bet you are thinking, is this a Megatrip mini trip without looking at any water, any boats? Hell no. Strap in, I promise it'll be cool. Smell amazing. Got no idea. Let's go. Don't have enough good things to say about the ambiance here in Béziers. Not saying I don't like it, it's probably better than just piss. Right, you lucky Megatripper, you now know more than me about what's going to come up on today's adventure, but let's get going here in the south of France. I'm in Béziers, it's about 10 kilometres from the Med, right here on the River Orbe, a nice old city. The initial settlement was here in 575 BC. Today we're going to go and have a little look around at some of the sights, sounds, smells here in Béziers. Now I've actually started nice and early in the morning. It's probably about 7, half 7. The town's nice and quiet, so we can go have a little look around. Let's go. All right, Megatrippers, let's get into it. Now this amazing cathedral is based on a site that used to actually be a Roman temple, and that was destroyed in 1209 with the sacking of the city. But this Saint-Nazaire cathedral was built across the 13th to 15th centuries, and you can see the different bits of the architecture here. Absolutely beautiful, on the top of the bluff, overlooking the River Orbe, in Old Béziers. It's early in the day, but last night, I promise you, these streets were buzzing, full of people out enjoying the evening sunshine, enjoying the local wine, the local cuisine. A very pleasant place to be. Let's keep wandering around this beautiful old town. Check this out, just in the middle of the town, this old monument. I think down the bottom here we have good old Boney. I tried to give the sign a read. My French isn't the best, but it definitely talks about the French Revolution in there. Bonaparte is mentioned. Stunning. It's quite hard to do this justice of the beautiful old buildings. The streets are so narrow. I think what I'm going to do, Megatripper, is switch to a different camera with a wider angle lens for this walk through the old town. Bear with me and we'll be back on the scene. Alright, that should be a little bit better. Let's go have a little walk down these beautiful old roads here in Béziers. Check this out, how quaint. The coiffeur, hairdresser. Look at the colour on that paint, that's probably been there since the 50s or 60s. Absolutely stunning. So behind me is one of 16 trompe-l'oeil which can be found painted on the walls around Béziers. Most of these are celebrating local wine merchants, local heroes. Like I said, there's 16 of them in the city, so if you're looking for something to do, why not walk around and see if you can spot them. Let's carry on our adventure. I absolutely love this time of day in southern Europe. The village is waking up, the town is waking up. People are starting to put bread out. You can start to see life happening. It's going to get hot soon. Definitely have to find a coffee. But anyway, we have made our way to Allées Paul-Riquet. Now I'm not sure who Monsieur Riquet was. but that's who this alley is named after. And this is the main shopping street, the main street of cafes, and also where you'll find tourist information if you're looking for some more guidance that you don't get from me here on Megatrip. So let's go and have a little look at what cafe, or what the Allées Paul-Riquet has to offer. Let's go. So now we're hitting the main bit of the Allées Paul-Riquet. Now, if you come here by plane and your bus is running and that's what you decide to do, or you come by train, this is kind of straight out of the station. You cross the road, you head up here. It's very early in the morning still. I'll give you a little look in a second, so it's quite quiet. But as the day warms up, this will be buzzy, full of cafes, full of people enjoying the sunshine here in southern France in the Languedoc, sipping a nice glass of wine, maybe a little pastis. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking and show you this beautiful Grande Avenue here in Béziers. Look at this. Beautiful, tree-lined. It's going to be shady when the heat gets up in the heart of the day. So the Allées Paul-Riquet here was built in 1827. Also in the 19th century was built the Jardins des poètes. And this really is a nice garden with busts of poets, local folk heroes, fountains. But the reality is it was actually built to join the station to the Allées Paul-Riquet, which is the main thoroughfare here in downtown, let's call it, Béziers. So let's go and have a little look at that now. I'm told the big thing to see is the Fountain de Titan. Don't really know what that means, but apparently it's a big sod-off fountain sat in the middle of this jardin, or this garden des poètes, of poets. So let's have a little look around on our way down to the station area. Come with me. Nice and tranquil, you can imagine when the sun's out, lying on these banks, enjoying the day, just relaxing here. You'll notice as well, things like there were palm trees out there, there's some banana plants, and it's worth thinking a little bit about the climate down here if you come and visit. I'm here in May, and it's going to get to 23, 25 degrees. It's the start of May, and it's going to be beautiful. But in the summer, it will get very, very, very hot. If you're not really familiar with the geography of Europe, southern France is just at the north edge of Spain, and that may not seem like you're going to be that hot that far south, but you're not that far from Africa. It's just across the Med, and you can see that here in this park where we have a variety of cactuses or cacti and other hot weather plants. Look at these. You can see these are having no problems growing. Obviously usually found in really hot climates, but set against the backdrop of this beautiful French park in the Languedoc. This really is, I guess, where kind of grapes and southern French Provençal wine and produce, it really is at that kind of cutting point where if it was any hotter, any sunnier, it couldn't grow, or couldn't grow as well. If you think of southern Spain compared to southern France, they really don't have the same horticultural opportunities. Wow, look at this as well. What a stunning place. I'm glad I came out early this morning before it got too busy. You can see this beautiful architecture all around here. And here, I guess, are some of our famous poets. Joan Barthez here. Émile Bart. Jean Bonicelle. All these famous French poets, famous French artists in this beautiful, beautiful garden. Much like a lot of European towns though, there is quite often something a bit more sad, but beautiful in its own right. And here we have the War Memorial, recognising those who sacrificed their lives in various wars. But of course, Europe in the last century, or actually over a century now, been dominated by the two major world wars, and it really is something that still resonates and rings deep in this part of Europe, and in fact across all of Europe. Hopefully that's a lesson to those involved in conflicts today, that that's exactly what we want to try and avoid. Alright, so this is the actual Titan fountain. Probably need to find a better view of it, but you can see from behind Atlas holding up the world, horses and cherubs, cherubim and cherubim supporting Atlas from famous Greek mythology. A real mix of cultures down here. Okay, let's magically cut this bit in for the Jardins des poètes. That is the station behind me. If you arrive and you want to head up to the main thoroughfare, that's how you do it. You walk out of the station, cross the road, go through the passage souterrain, centre-ville, the subterranean passage, to the middle of the town. Okay, Megatrip legends. That's pretty much me done looking around the old town, for now, at least anyway. But I bet you were thinking, is this a Megatrip mini trip without looking at any water, any boats? Hell no. I mentioned earlier, Béziers is on the river L'Aube, and that's where we're going now. We're going to go and have a look at some really historical waterways. It excites me, it may not excite you, but hopefully, look, strap in, I promise it'll be cool. Let's head down there now, take a little look around, and actually probably get out of the city itself a little bit. Let's do some walking. Let's go. We're now alongside the Canal du Midi. The Canal du Midi was built in the 17th century here in southern France in the Languedoc region. And it's generally considered as one of the most impressive construction projects of the 17th century. It runs for 240 kilometres, and we're going to have a look at some of the notable bits of it here in Béziers. But check this out, isn't it lovely? So the canal is lined with these trees with this pinky purple flower and some kind of fruit. I've got absolutely no idea whatsoever what they are. But if you do know, please let me know in the comments. They smell amazing. It is genuinely quite difficult to put into words just how beautiful it is down here. I don't know if you can hear the church bells ringing in the background, the beautiful Languedoc countryside all around me. Anyway, we're here to talk about canals. Look, that may not sound too interesting, but the Canal du Midi seriously is something impressive. The big problem though with canals is, or with waterways in general, is water needs to stay flat. And if you've been to the Languedoc or to southern France or Provence, it's all quite similar. It's not mountainous, but it is hilly. There's lots of hills to get over. And here in Béziers, you have the river L'Aube, and that's the low point. And the canal needs to cross it. Now initially, or what they usually do in that situation, is they build locks, and that's what they did here. And there's a really cool series of really old locks that we are going to go and have a look at. But in 1858, that was replaced by something else. That was replaced by the Béziers Aqueduct, or in French, and I'll try not to murder this completely, the Pont du Canal de l'Aube. So the bridge canal over the l'Aube. And that's exactly where we are now. It is an impressive structure. It is apparently 28 metres wide, 12 metres high, so that's how deep the water is for the boats, and 240 metres long. And like I said, built in 1858, and really part of the picturesque scenery down here in Béziers. So have a little look. It's amazing. Just achingly beautiful. Right, the sun's starting to come up. I'm gonna get my little walk on, I think. Have a little walk down the canal and see what else we can find. So as promised, the sun is out in southern France, and we're here to look at the 9 Fonseranes locks. Now, I did say that the aqueduct replaced something else in 1838 to make it easier for boats to pass down the Canal du Midi. But before that, there were locks, and there were 9 of them in a row. And we're going to go have a closer look at them in a moment. But this is where Allées Paul-Riquet, of the main thoroughfare, of the big statue in the middle of the city, comes into play. So during the reign of Louis XIV, he was the guy who actually built these impressive locks. So that's between 1666 and 1681. So this is now very much a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Let's go and have a little look. Absolutely stunning. 100% worth a visit. Beautiful countryside. Don't forget, these things are almost 400 years old. Built in the reign of Louis XIV. And it's part of what made this area so rich, so well connected. People could trade their wine particularly, a big thing to be produced here, and still is. Now, Megatrippers, these videos are for you to come along with me on my adventures, but also I do like to give you a little tip, here and there anyway. If you do visit this area, if you do come to Béziers, which I highly recommend, it's a lovely little walk down here by the canal. So if you fancy stretching your legs and a little stroll, you can do what I've done. You can head down to the Canal du Midi. If you search on your map for the Tourist Information Centre, Canal du Midi, that's a good starting point. You can walk along over the aqueduct, up the canal to the 9 Fonseranes locks, see these beautiful 400-year-old pieces of architecture, pieces of industrial sculpture, and then you can stroll back along the canal, along the old route, before the aqueduct was put in, to the town. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. I can go and have a look at Béziers from a different angle. If you do decide to try this little walk along the canal, the whole distance I think is probably maybe 3, 4, 5 kilometres max. Then as you get back into town, you'll hit the main road, or a main road. And you can either cross that and keep walking along the canal, or you can hang a left. Now, my recommendation and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang a left, and that'll take us over to the Pont Vieux. And what that means is we'll get a much better view as we walk back up to the old city, to the old town. Let's go do that now. So I promised the sun would come out, and it did. I probably should have promised all of the weather, because it's now starting to rain, so I've switched to my waterproof camera. The shades have come off, regretting wearing a white t-shirt and not having anything else with me. Anyway, the reason why I want to go this way is because it will take you to the Pont Vieux. This is a medieval bridge here in Béziers over the river L'Aube. It's built in the 12th century. It's 241 metres long. So if you're paying attention, that's 1 metre longer than the aqueduct. And And one of the good reasons to come down here, not only is it a lovely bridge to walk over, which we'll see, but it also gives you a fantastic view of not only the river, but also the old city, the old town where we started today, and in fact where I stayed last night. So you can even look up to the prison where we stayed last night, right there, just under the cathedral. You can start to get an idea. You can see the turret of the prison. You start to really get a flavour of where we are. And look at these beautiful views down the river. I really hope the camera is doing this justice. Absolutely delightful. And look at this cute, quirky, ever so slightly wonky Pont Vieux bridge, medieval bridge, over the River L'Aube, here in Béziers, in Languedoc, in southern France. What a day to be alive. Can't recommend it enough. Definitely worth a quick trip. I'm not sure you can fill a full week here unless you wanted to tour the vineyards. But wow, it really is beautiful. Really is stunning. Now, while I've been looking here, I've seen something else. I don't know if you can quite make it out. It looks like there's some sort of structure and then a walkway up back to the cathedral, up back to the prison, the Hotel La Prison, where I've been staying. So let's have a little mooch. Let's see if that's the best way back up. Got no idea. So it looks like there's my own little route back to the Hotel La Prison, obviously via the historic centre. Hopefully we've got a nice little lift in here or something. It is quite a steep hill to climb. Look at this, here we go. Smells of piss like any lift. Look at that. Taking me back up the old city walls, saving my poor legs. I am very much ready for a cafe, a croissant, something to get the day started. I don't know what it is about French lifts. In the UK, all lifts stink of piss. In France, they all stink of piss and cigarettes. I'm not saying I don't like it, it's probably better than just piss. It's just odd. Dirty windows, we can start to get a view as we head up. Wow, much easier than hiking back up to the old city walls. La Passerelle Pierre de Boncy. Look at this. That an amazing view of Pont Vieux. And there we go. Nous sommes retournés à l'hôtel de prison. We have come back to the prison hotel. All right, let's have a little rest up and start thinking about a little bit of lunch and heading for the bus for the airport. Okay, mega trippers, as promised, I am back on the Allées Paul-Riquet, and you can see it's still quite early, but it's starting to come to life a little bit. You can see the tables are starting to go out for the restaurants. People are walking around, enjoying a Sunday in southern France. But that's it for me here in Béziers. Pretty much the end of my journey. Just one morning really, 24 hours, under 24 hours here in Béziers. Definitely worth a visit. A beautiful, beautiful old town. Some nice countryside walks, an exciting city, some great history. So definitely worth a visit. I'm going to eat some food. I'm going to jump on the bus. Hopefully there'll be a bus this time to the airport and shoot on back to London. But mega tripper, if you've enjoyed what you watch, please, please, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's just down there, a little bell icon. Hit subscribe, turn on the alerts. It really does massively help me. It massively helps the channel, and most importantly for you, it makes sure that you don't miss anything coming up on Megatrip. It's completely free. You can cancel at any time, and I promise you, you don't want to miss the next episode. So finally, we've done our mini trips and we are heading off on the Megatrip. So the next live video, the next new content, Saturday morning 9 AM UK time, will be for real Megatrip.